Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? Welcome back to my channel, and this is going to be a new series in which we're talking about some tips and tricks that I put into practice and actually show you what it's going to be like. This series is going to be called Rags to Riches. Now, this is week 1 of Rags to Riches. I'm going to hopefully do this weekly every Friday upload. We'll see how that goes. But to give a little background about me, I'm a traditional sports coach that has been coaching sports for ages. So a lot of my knowledge when it comes to coaching is through learn experience, it's through people explaining to me, it's through studies, it's things like that. I'm currently a sports management student as well, going into the 4th year of my studies come September. And currently on a placement at a coaching firm, learning about business development and how we can develop people to become better in business and things like that. I've got things in personal training, I've got stuff to do with nutritional advising, all that sort of jazz. But anyway, my tip for this week is refining your champion pool. Now, what I mean by that is in this video, I use 3 champions, Tarek, Orn and Leona. Now, I've been playing support for a while. I actually transitioned to support about a month ago from playing jungle mainly, but it's basically focusing on playing a fewer champions that have a similar style. Now, I'll do a little voiceover of all of the games with some of the big takeaways from those games, but the similar style for me is this sort of engage CC champions that have the ability to really turn fights due to their ability to engage, disengage, fight, CC, scrap, get picks, fight in the jungle. But tune in, let me know what you think. If you do enjoy it, you can find my links there. It's at League Talk Show on Twitter and at League_Talk on Instagram. I am on Facebook. Check me out on my website, it's www.leaguetalkshow.com. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear feedback. I would say like and subscribe, but I'm not massively interested in that. I'm more interested just to see what is thought about this episode, what I can change, what can be better. Apologies for poor video editing. I'm awful at that, so I'm just learning as the process goes. But let me know what you think. At the current time of filming, it was Gold 4 I was in. As I say, I think I played 8 or 9 games and only 2 of them were losses. So refining that champion pool, understanding the limits of your champions has been great for me. So enjoy the episode. Right then guys, how are we doing? Here's the little voiceover. We're getting into game 1 here. I'm playing Leona. Get the level 2 power spike. E and Q onto the Caitlyn straight away. This is one of the massive things that I'm noticing at the moment in the elo that I'm playing in is the level 2. If you can get that on a high CC support like Leona, like a Tarek maybe. Tarek not so much on the level 2. Maybe, well, with the W and the E. This is unfortunate. Vayne goes in there. Again, focusing onto the support, focusing onto the AD, but we end up just dying. This was a bit of a really rough laning phase here, to be brutally honest. This whole game, one of the big things was fighting for me in chokes. Fighting in chokes and scrapping an awful lot. Leona's a great scrapper. We got a bunch of different plays where mid lane was down in bot, jungle was bot, lots of that sort of stuff, which was great for Leona because she has that level of CC. But again, looking for these scraps, looking for fights wherever we can. Even if you are a little bit behind, I think Leona's a great support for dueling when you are behind as well. Not massively behind, of course, but this is the perfect example of fighting in these chokes. As you could see with that clip, with getting these ultis off. A lot of roaming, again another choke down into the sort of mid lane brush there. We get the 2 kills off here. Unfortunately I take that with my W, I think that was. And then we can chain CC so nicely. This is one of the great things about Leona and CC supports, is going around with your jungler, if they have CC as well, is so good. Scrapping, in a choke, again, getting a pick there, fighting in the jungle. This is a wonderful way to do it. Big ulti there, nothing really comes of that unfortunately. But again, look at that, choke, scrapping, fighting in a choke and getting a pick. This pretty much sums up the first game, to be honest with you. We end up getting Baron and we end up fighting in their base, pretty much acing them, I think it was. Yep, there's the ace. And that's how we win in game 1, man. It was a super good showing from me. Actually, straight after this game, I did lose a game, which is pretty unfortunate. It was... But we go into the next game and we're playing Alistair. Not much happened early laning phase. There was quite a few mess ups on my part. But we keep roaming, get some good roams off like that. Going into the mid lane. And using that to our advantage. Pushing him back towards the tower. It was an Asus. And then, again, Look at this. This is one of the things that I think is super underrated. Waiting around in their jungle, especially if you're ahead. Which we were a strong bot lane here, and our LeBlanc was one-shotting people. So waiting around with LeBlanc was a bit of a weird bot lane. It was a Heimerdinger support here with heal, so there was 2 heals. But again, Alistair flanks here are super tidy. Super good to get the Alistair flanks off. We did have a bad lane, but this game for me, one of the big learning points was roaming around, getting vision, and getting picks alongside the jungler mid, who was super far ahead. There is a bit of a common theme here with playing support. I've noticed that you don't actually have to babysit the AD in the mid game. Early to mid game, if that AD is dying an awful lot, roaming around, the thing you do have to do, however, is make sure that you're getting the most off. But here is a perfect example of where you learn on the job sort of thing. So Shaco was super strong, and he was playing this game really well in terms of assassinating the AD. He would sort of queue in from an obscure place where he knew there was no vision, just like here, queuing in again. He didn't get any assassinations there, but that idea of queuing in, we get the dragon, we get the baron, and this is where you learn. So I saw the shroud here using the Q, and managed to queue him before he gets onto the AD. So that was a great example of learning on the job. But getting vision and getting picks was the aim of that game. Now, going into the next game, I was playing Ornn. And playing Ornn support was super interesting for me. I think this is a really good pick at the moment. This whole game, the whole premise of this one for me was big CC ability. All of us in the team had big CC abilities and the ability to sort of barrel down mid. And pass up the laning phase and just look to 5v5. So whilst we were behind for a bunch of the game, with the amount of CC we had and the amount of 5v5 prowess in terms of the Syndra, in terms of Hecarim, in terms of Shen, Ashe, Ornn, that's a great 5v5 comp, and these are some examples of that. So looking for ultis when I can, looking for Qs and Es. A lot of people lose track of the Ornn Q, and that's something to take advantage on. So I get at least 3 there. I think it might have been 4. And we basically barrel after these guys. Mundo is so tanky and has so much regen. We do get him in the end. But here again, another great example of CC supports doing super well in chokes. So whilst I don't have the ulti there, it still works fine. This is chaining. Ashe gets a nice arrow onto Varus. Chain the CC with my ulti as well. And then we can basically barrel down mid running after them. There's not an awful lot that can be done by a Mundo and an Udyr, so we just chase after them. This is another example. Ulti comes up here. It slows a bunch of people. I get 3 or 4 knocked up there. Unfortunately, the whole thing doesn't go quite to plan, but we do all right. We get a couple of kills there. We do trade, which was a bit rubbish. I'm not entirely sure how we lost this, but this is basically the team fight that won us the game here. So, ulti comes up. I'm waiting for the right time to use it. Hecarim goes in. He uses CC, and then I chain it alongside that. So that's why that one works so well. Using the Qs, using the best part about using Qs in bushes is if they don't have vision, they don't know it's there. So when you're Eing into that, works really well. They use a bunch of abilities on me here whilst we're going for the Baron. I don't die. I basically just tank all of it, which actually worked out really well. I had my team there, so props to them for doing that. And then they just clean up. Ashe DPSing like crazy off on the back line. Underrated AD carry at the moment, I think. Ashe's ability to DPS was great. But that's how we won the game. We just won off of that big team fight. And then we're into the next game. I noticed in this game, again I played Ornn support, but this Lulu was trash. Unfortunately for Lulu, she kept getting hit. Maybe she hasn't played against a lot of Ornn, but my Q damage, she kept getting hit by the Q, which was doing an awful lot. And we get the Kai'Sa flash, so we get 1 kill in lane there. And that's the example of them not really understanding where that Q is and what Ornn does as a support champ. But here, Diana roamed down. I'm basically going in here. I can die super easy, but I was just looking to buy as much time as I could, keep Kai'Sa in the lane, use some CC abilities, and then watch as Diana gets the kills. So that worked out really well. I think at this point she was pretty tilted, but then shoving in the lane. I was actually in vision here, but I get away with getting CC and some damage, ghosting off. Ulti that I had unsealed spellbook, ulti onto both of them. We didn't get anything, but this Sion, man, this was an unfortunate one. We had a strong lane, but we just got consistent picks on this Sion, and that's basically how we won this game. So I wanted to be transparent, did lose one, but I'm currently on a 3-1 record in terms of wins and losses with this sort of idea of refining the champion pool to these 3 champs. But yeah, keeping these picks going, another pick onto the Sion. And then once you're 4v5, if there's a weak link and you can get a decent pick on them, then that works really well for us. We come away with the dragon. There's a little team fight that ensues here. It was on 1 HP and I managed to get it. I had smite up as well. I didn't use smite, which was really stupid. But we get another pick onto the side. And then poor old Lulu gets burst down as well. And that was that part of it. So again, this game was getting consistent picks onto the Scion that was made possible because of deep vision. So one thing that I've been trying to do more and more is when I have time, when there's not, for example, people aren't on the map or there was some extra time. Here's a good example of a choke fight again, man. The CC it supports with choke, into chokes, in fighting in the jungle. The ulti drawback, so when it's coming towards Ornn, also it's a huge slow, so that worked really well for us as well. But these games have been going super, super well, just by refining the champion pool, man. But as I was saying, getting these consistent picks that is possible because of good vision and deep vision works really well. And then we pretty much, this was a nice little play for me, I like this. We had Baron, we get the inhib, and then I TP top knowing how strong my team is. We get some extra turrets here, and we get some inhibs, and then end up ending the game off of this pretty much. So utilising that Baron buff, it's sort of inspired by Hillisang, also awful Hillisang, of course. But using the Baron buff when you're a support, I think is way more underrated than people like to think. Obviously awful for split pushing, but if your team is strong, doing this in a way I think is pretty good in solo queue. It works for me. I'm not talking from a perspective of I'm super, super good at this game. I'm talking from a perspective of I've played quite a bit of it, and I'm talking about the things that worked for me during these games. And it might not work all the time, obviously, but this was something that did work. We end up getting both inhibs, and we end the game off this. So this was the push, we get a couple of kills. And on to the next one. So this was my first Taric game. Taric level 2, love it. W and the E, you get 2 stars off here, flashing onto them, igniting, and the Jarvan gang. Jarvan actually, I think he used his EQ really poorly there, but that doesn't really matter. I kind of wanted to go on the Janna, because I knew Tristana had flash up at that point. But we do end up getting the kill, which works out nicely. We get engaged on. Master Yi's coming. He dives and gets Vayne. No, he doesn't. This was the one that he didn't get Vayne. He pretty much inted there. Vayne had heal, but again, this is the perfect example of Taric. So Taric sort of reminds me of Yorick in a way for the bot lane. I'll explain why. Is because he's quite happy to welcome unfavourable trades and unfavourable situations because of his ulti. So right there, we don't do damage. We don't get damage done to us because of the ulti. But then this is the thing I loved about playing this game, was using my ulti alongside Kled ulti and sort of just running at my teammates to cover them all with the ulti. Invulnerable. This is crazy ability. This champion I think is really, really good. And whilst these might not be meta, as long as you get the hang of the stuns and you know the right sort of timings to use your ulti, the Q and the W are only really useful during the laning phase, apart from using the W for his E, if that makes sense. But we end up basically dueling the Baron for the majority of the time here. Casting comes along but goes straight out afterwards. And then Jarvan comes, we take away the Baron. Baron's so good. Baron is so good. We ended the game off of this Baron. Here we go, we're diving here. I actually use the ulti. I think you can also use this as something to scare people off. So we use it to get more pressure. We get both turrets. The minions are coming. They can't fight in all of these minions. It's going to hurt so bad. And that's how we win that game. So another nice win for us there. Playing Taric this time instead of Leona or Ornn. I think the great little thing about this trio of supports is that they're all super interesting. Now this is something that I think is really good with Taric as well. He has a stun that early that does last, I think it's a second at 1 rank. Especially twinned with Ignite. I really think Caitlyn could have done a bit more here. I think she autoed the wrong target a couple of times. But that is the perfect example of why that early little trade there is super good, even if you do lose health. Because we actually get the kill off of it. I E-flash onto him. And then this is actually the crux of this game for me. The crux of this game was to do with actually putting your W, not necessarily onto the target you want to save, but the target you want to engage with. So Kayn is a let me rephrase that. Kayn is really good for backline diving. So we end up just snowballing this game out of control with diving with Kayn, using my E as the right way to do it. It worked super well for us this time. And this is another example of having a Kane and using my W with him. I flash and get the first blood off of this. I think it's a fine trade to die here for first blood on the jungler. Although we don't end up getting Scuttle, I was the first to roam, which was good for us. And then again, Kane's coming in. Really nice to have these jungle ganks coming here. This one was pushing in to just get picks, and it was really nice to have the jungle control. The problem that they had with this comp is it had a Shen and a Galio, which means that at level 6, cross-map plays are very difficult, but we just smashed bot lane super hard, which was really nice. And we had a Vayne, so we were always going to scale. Here's the example of me using my W on Kane. We get both of them here because of that, and then we focus down before Shen comes along, which was super nice. The other quick thing that I just wanted to say while we get the kill on Amumu here is that actually game 5, so this I believe is currently game 7? Yes, game 7. So game 5 we actually had an AFK. It was a weird one, top and jungle were duo I think, and we had someone just DC'd for a bit, but they AFK'd, they went into base and we just lost the game off of that. So there are 2 losses here. Not to be massively concerned. But again, using my W with Kane, what I did there was trying to avoid the Amumu ult, which worked really well for us. And once I avoid the Amumu ult, I can start using my stuns, my ultis in those positions. Again, unfortunately get hit by that Amumu ult, but using my E off in a really nice place there works super well. And we win the game off of that, so not too bad. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of Rags to Riches. Really fun to make it. At the time of recording I was gold 4. I played 9 games and I lost 2 of them, so it went pretty well. That was just through refining my champion pool. I had no control as such, but I did lose 6 in a row before that when I was just transitioning to support. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. That was the first tip, was just refining the champion pool, getting your champions to a similar playstyle. The tip next week is going to be completely different, but I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know. Hit me up on these socials here. I've also got a website, www.leaguetalkshow.com, so let me know what you think. Hope you have a wonderful week and I hope you enjoyed the episode.